identify their children's bodies. Franklin Graham and I called in and prayed with the families and read some scripture with them. And he was incredible in making himself available to that as well. We'll be back down there in a couple of days and continue to do all we can. But this is an unprecedented event. It really is. There's been tragedies like this around the country, but everyone is unique in different situations. And the response the federal government had supporting the state through this, I'm proud of the people that stepped up and immediately came. The Coast Guard, when they came in, they had a difficult time even getting the aircraft in and landed. They had to try several times in the weather to get it in and deploy. And I think we've heard about, our one Coast Guard member that was responsible for saving over 165 people, but that entire crew did incredible work. And all the first responders there did incredible work. And I know people are getting tired now, but they're getting reinforcements and volunteers are showing up. And I just want to commend the governor and his team for being the leaders now. And they're so thankful that you're letting them make the decisions and manage the response like it should be. And then us supporting them with the resources of the federal government. We've already deployed dollars to the state, much like the block grants that you've talked about. So very grateful for that, sir.
There's never been a wave like this outside of the breaking of a dam. This was almost a wave that ended up being 30 feet high more, actually. And this is the kind of thing that built up so fast. And it's happened 2 or 3 times before over the years, but not to this extent. But tell them when you met the father who was picking up your daughter's clothing. And
I had kind of fallen apart in there, but I walked out of the cabin and a gentleman was standing there and he said, that man over there needs a hug. And so I walked over to him and I hugged him and I said, do you work here? And he said, no, my little girl was in that cabin. And he said, and I just found her best friend about an hour and a half ago. She had passed away. And he just fell apart. And so then we just hugged and talked for probably an hour about that. But then there was the grandpa was there looking for his granddaughter as well. There was a dad there of one of the counselors. The counselor was alive, but she was dealing with the fact that she had hung on to some of these girls and was trying to keep them out of the flood waters and had gotten hit by something and had lost 2 of the girls and wasn't able to hang on to them and was going to live the rest of her life thinking about that moment when she wasn't able to hang on to these girls. But these parents were picking up their kids' belongings out of the mud and throughout the camp, putting them in bags. And then one of the dads said, I knew 50 of these girls here. So I knew that was her dress. It's my daughter's friend's dress. So he was picking it up and putting it in a bag to return to her parents. And so it was, and then the director was there comforting everybody who had lost his father the night before too. And he was still there trying to facilitate all of these parents grieving their children and find them. So the strength of people is incredible. One of the things that I asked there today that day was that they all have escorts or counselors when parents come in. So from that point, that when they came into the camp, that they have somebody with them when they're going and looking for their children's belongings or looking for their children. So very emotional, but also just so tragic.
Texas and the governors, obviously very good for years with me, but the relationship with Texas and their first responders and us, and those first responders and lots of other people, and we've run in a lot of helicopters from all over. We had a lot of helicopters. It was actually dangerous. A lot of helicopters, okay, but they were real pros, responsible for pulling out a lot of people. We got them there fast. Texas had some good ones too. But the response has been incredible, and the fact that we got along so well, I don't even think that's a political thing, but we got along so well, and it was so unified. I think a lot of lives, that could have been as bad as it was, and you could have lost double or triple. This thing was just really horrible. Well, Congratulations on that job, and I appreciate I know you're going down. I'll be going down on Friday with First Lady. We'll be taking a trip. And, we don't want to get in anyone's way because that's what happens. The president goes and everyone's around focused. I don't want anyone to focus on us, but it's possible they could have some money saved still. There's a lot of areas. It's a big area, and probably unlikely at this point, but there could be. They're thinking there could be a possibility. What a tragic situation. Good job, and we'll see you on Friday. I'll finish out the day here. I think you've been reading a lot about it's a terrible topic when you talk about financial after this. We have a big country and we've been doing very well. Tariffs, as you know, are starting to come in at record levels. Tremendous amounts of money are coming in. Never been there before. So we only have tariffs going out. We only adhere to the rules of other nations who charge us tremendous tariffs because we were led by stupid people or people without any business sense. And I'd like to ask Scott, you can maybe talk a little bit about how well we're doing with regard to the money coming in. And the big money will start coming in on August 1st. I think it was made clear today by the letters that were sent out yesterday and today. What is it?
We will take it in about $100 billion in tariff income thus far this year, and that's with the tariff, the major tariffs not having started until the second quarter. So we could expect that to be well over $300 billion by the end of the year. We don't agree with CBO's scoring, but for those who do, the CBO scored tariff income over the next 10 years at $2.8 trillion. We think is probably low. And under your leadership,
They gave us no credit during this last little, the great big beautiful bill. I always use the word great. They had that to it. It's brilliant, man. I like it. And I want to thank all the Republicans. I want to install the Democrats. They're voting for tax cuts. They're voting for no tax on tips, no tax on social security, no tax on overtime. Many, many other things far more important than that. Great health care. And frankly, every Democrat should lose their election because it was purely political vote. They were told not to vote for it. So think of it. We got 218 to 2. And then with the Senate, we had 50 to 3. Democrats didn't vote. Not one positive vote. They were all of the good things. Economic development money, tremendous border money. Loaded up with the border. I don't think we're going to need so much of it because we had zero come in last month, so I'm not sure how much of it we want to spend. You may think about that. You may actually think about saving a lot of money. The world's been largely built, and obviously you may want to think about it. But so I think it's incredible when I watch the Democrats, and they have standard lines like they had Russia, Russia, Russia. They had the laptop from hell. It all came from Russia. They make things up and they go with it and they feed it to you people in many cases. And they say, "Here's a line." And I hear the new line is death. It's death. Everyone's going to die. It's nothing to do with that. In fact, it's saving our country. Death is from allowing 25 million people into our country, of which 3 or 4 are stone cold hard criminals. 11,888 are murderers, many of them committing more than one murder. That's death, and the Democrats did that. Joe Biden did that by allowing people to come in here, just totally unchecked, unvetted, open borders. Whole world was dumped into our country from prisons, from gangs, from mental institutions. We have many people walking the streets, walking in areas that we don't know anything about that came out of insane asylums. They released their insane asylum population into our country, and it's amazing the job that you and Tom Holman are doing, by the way, on that. But we have to get them out. We have no choice. We have to get them out, and we are getting them out. So we want to tell them about our great military and how well we did with respect to the bombers and the B-2. We had the pilots here 2 days ago, and there were incredible people. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Truly a historic mission demonstrating the skill and courage of the United States Infantry. From the P-2 pilots attending, we had a chance to meet, sir, to the fighter pilots, to the refuelers, to the maintainers, to the air defenders who defended the base. What was demonstrated on the world stage was American military might and capability. And it wasn't just Fordo and Isfahan and Natanz that took notice in Iran. It was the rest of the world. And we have a decisive commander-in-chief who will use these capabilities, which are the best in the world, as the president pointed out. No one else could have done what America did there on that night, and everyone took notice of that. With the one big beautiful bill, sir, we've got $150 billion additional to invest in Golden Dome and all the other weapon systems, stockpiles, shipbuilding, priorities of yours. Another month, another historic recruiting. It's not just the Army and the Marine Corps anymore, it's the Navy, the Air Force, and the Space Force, all historically ahead of where they've ever been. A historic spirit inside the military. We had a chance to be at NATO, Marco and I, and see how the world responds to us saying it's time for you to shoulder the burden and take the lead for your continent. It only happened from President Trump leading. And we're proud to be a part of what's going on at the border, sir, with now a fourth national defense area where we're helping get to that number 0 during the border. But that mission, Operation Midnight Hammer, re-established deterrence. It reversed what happened in Afghanistan. We saw the debacle of what Biden allowed to happen in Afghanistan. And what that did to our image. President Trump said, Operation Midnight Hammer is establishing American leadership in deterrence.
Our so-called enemies will watch it. They're watching every minute of it. They watched. There was very few people that weren't watching, actually. They watched every minute. It was a perfect military performance, the likes of which we haven't seen in a long time. I mean, if you compare that to the same country, the hostages from years ago, Jimmy Carter, was unfortunate for Jimmy Carter. He was a nice man, but the helicopters going down, the sandstorm, the prisoners, the capture, and the election, and the prisoners, Reagan, and all the problems. It was nothing but problems. And that was a failure. And ours was not only the pilots. I mean, those machines flew for 37 straight hours and didn't stop. They went skedaddle. Remember the word skedaddle? It means skedaddle. They dropped the bomb, and somebody said, skedaddle. Let's get the hell out of here. And every bomb hit its mark. And you hit it incredibly. And as you know, the Atomic Energy Commission said it's gone. That place is gone. We had a lot of fake reporting, mostly from CNN, where a scammer a writer for CNN, who should be fired by the way, she was involved in 51 fake intelligence agents, if you remember that. She did that story, created a story out of it. She created a story out of the laptop from hell, saying it came from Russia, but it actually came from Hunter Biden's bedroom or worse. It's a scammer. And she's still at CNN, which is pretty amazing. But we'll ask them questions on that. But they came up with this concept that maybe the attack wasn't that good. Maybe, and I saw it happen right after the attack. I saw this person on CNN. I actually watch. I like to watch CNN. But I told you, I watch after them, where they're coming from. And I watch her say, Anderson, you know, I'm hearing stories that maybe they didn't hit their target, maybe it wasn't that good. Because the next day was a little more, the next day a little more, after 3 days. She said, no, I don't know. By that time everybody knew it was hit perfectly. The evidence is in the planes, the evidence for the pilots is the best evidence. But they actually came out to their plane because they were here the other day, and it's so sad. It's such a big job. We flew into very dangerous airspace. I'll never forget we were in the Situation Room, and they said they have entered Iranian airspace, and everyone took a deep breath. They had more missiles pointing at them, but the equipment is so good, it's stealth. Way up in the air, it was stealth. And they went right through that, and they sort of, by the time they found out they were there, they were already gone. That was the word skedaddle. Get that out of here. But they were right in the most dangerous airspace in the world, but they took their big, beautiful, very fast. They're unbelievable. They become really beautiful works of art. You know, I always thought they sort of were cool, but now they look better than just cool, don't they? Huh? but they dropped loads and literally they would hit. If you look at this table from here to there, they had a half a refrigerator door is the way to best explain it. Like a refrigerator door, average size, cut it in half. That was their target. They hit every single one. Then we had 30 missile tomahawk shot from submarine 300 miles away. Every one of them hit that target. It was a perfect mission. Then they came back almost 37 hours. Every plane was, the mechanics were here too. I said, you gotta get the mechanics here. We didn't have any problems. You remember they had a lot of problems with helicopters, but they didn't fly through a dust storm, which they should have done. Sometimes you say, let's go back and try it on a nicer day. Dust and sand don't work well with helicopters. You know much about helicopters, but that was a horrible embarrassment for us. Then we had Afghanistan, which I think was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. We would have gotten out. I was the one that got to that. We would have kept Lhasa, the big air base, which right now is controlled by China, among the most powerful runways in the world. Thick of concrete and steel. Anything could land, and right now we were 1 hour away from where China makes nuclear weapons. I was keeping it. Outside of that, we were leaving, and I would have been out faster than that, and we would have gotten out with strength and dignity. Instead, that was the most botched up mess I've ever seen. They left all that equipment behind, and every year they have a parade running down from Third Road Street with the equipment that could be put down and they to work. All that equipment that they left just in terms of every outfit. I was just at least the take out of it. And no one said I know what but they left their dignity with you. It's embarrassing moment. Not that you got up, not been there, but that you got out the radio. Yeah, 15 young people are getting it. Hundreds of people killed. On the other side, many people were killed. Many people were walking around with no rights, no law. They went from the war. They should have left from Bagram because Bagram was a big base with hundreds of miles. So, fencing and territory around it, nobody would be able to get here. And we've done a great job. And I think people are really starting to see it. They're starting to appreciate it. People that that mission was a work of art. And I have spoken to some of our perceived, I don't know the enemies, but perceived as being potential enemies. And they essentially said the same thing. Very impressive. They were reporting that we may have missed our target. Certainly in every target, that's what I do for a living. We hit every target. In fact, when we got in the boxing, in yellow, it's for horizon. Horizon. Right over the sun. We went looking into the sun. We hit our target. As you know what that was, it was exploding. And they were because they listened to the first CNN reporter and the fake New York Times. They worked together to try and say that it wasn't perfect. They couldn't say they missed 100%. Maybe it wasn't perfect. I'm going to fire that reporter. You should fire him. And I just want to congratulate those pilots. A lot of people don't like bringing things like that up. I just like being fronted because otherwise the public doesn't know there'd be a bunch of wicked people. But they learn, and the media has to straighten out that out. The media is down to 17% approval. They're better than them. It's important for the country that we do better. I think they're going to make a lot of changes. I think changes are going to make have a really successful country. We have to put up. We really have to put up. another world, and a lot of people want to have open borders and criminals flying into us, and a lot of you want to have men's and women's stores, transgender clothing. And some of them don't. I mean, I'm looking at some people who love the country, and I look at other people and they can't. But we're really proud of our military. And the people that there's no black folks. I want to play games with them because I think that in that situation in Afghanistan, I don't think people want to go in. I think we're good to look at our people in the top of the diaspora. Dealing with them working, we're not happy with it. I'm not happy with it. I can tell you that much. He's killing a lot of people. And a lot of them are his soldiers. His soldiers and their soldiers, most of them. And it's now up to 7,000 a week. And I'm not happy with it. Okay. Yes. You know, one of the things we did in fact was that I didn't mean to be rude, but I'm going to look and I'm looking at some of these perfect people up here. So your question is very nice. One of the things we're doing is we want to look every fact. We want to get every fact straight. We want to have the distance straight, the number of pilots straight, everything has to be correct. If we want to be in the vertical mission. If we fail on this mission, it's really beyond the war that obviously with Iran and Israel, a lot of hatred, a lot of years and years of hatred, centuries of hatred. People have never seen anything like it. So we wanted to be corrected all of that. And you know, what I was saying, we just asked you to be great. If the video would be corrected all that. I would say the Ukrainian, the Brits, I think they gave them the question. I don't know, they gave them we get that tank box, knock that tank, and you just aim them in the direction of the tank, and the tank is down. We gave them missiles and lasers, integrated, they were able to shoot down a lot of planes that would normally work out. You know, probably would have been a very quick war. It would have been a war that lasted 3-4 days. But they had the benefit of unbelievable equipment. And Europe gave them far more because we should have given it the same. We should have given it the rest of them. We should have picked up much more than looking at for over $300 billion. Europe's in there for over $100 billion. But still, you're paying a lot. And I will say this, the Ukrainians, whether you think it's unfair that we gave all that money or not, they were very brave because somebody had to operate that stuff. People I know wouldn't be operating it. They fought very bravely, but we gave them the best equipment in the world. We make the best military equipment by far. If you look at other equipment for other countries, it's not enough. That's why everybody wants to buy our equipment, and that's why we're going to step up these contractors now to make it, and they're brilliant, but they make it too slowly. And we have to step them up to make it much higher than unfortunate than but if you look at our Patriots, if you look at our Tomahawk, if you look at what we do with tanks, you wouldn't want to be driving a tank. You're nice to do, but they are a javelin for I can't come to javelin. Remember they said, don't care the javelin, and Obama gave them sheep. That's all Obama. That's what saying Obama. People died, and it should end. I don't know. A lot of bullshit thrown at us. We won't let it do. Very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless. It's an optional, it's totally at my option, it's totally at my option. And the temperature totally at my option. I'm looking at the very story. You do a better job. People understand. Other countries have been charged someone regular. So, with everybody for years, for decades. So we were like, model that made those deals with everybody. And we just don't South Korea to stay there. Okay, here we go. And we stay there. And they pay. I got them to pay $50 and Biden canceled it. You know, I said to South Korea, I give you an example. You know what you do? I think we should get them to and then we had a reelection and we never got to talk. And you know what Biden did? Republicans went to them and they said, listen, it's Trump treated us we shouldn't be paying so that's what happened. Okay, and the Republican countries contributed to the military, not only just paying more than they were, but we have 45,000 soldiers in South Korea, we have 45,000 soldiers in Germany, 52,000 actually. And, that's a huge economic development program. That's tremendous amount. That's like having a city. Tremendous money for that, and it's a tremendous wealth for it. So, in a very nice way, we're talking to Amazon. It makes it very wonderful. I mean, it's very in South Korea. It should be paid to their own military.
Safety acquisitions blind Congress to find the optimal.
I call them two letters. Two letters. And 212 Jones to the Dallas Cowboys. Two letters. Goes like, but he wasn't late with Biden before the election. He was studying him like crazy. Didn't help too much. But he was studying him like crazy before the election with Kamala. And Biden, he was trying to get them rid of him. He was recommended by somebody that worked for him. I don't know if you've heard of I just think that's so odd. I just been talking about gentle This has been talked about for years. We have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy disappeared? That is unbelievable. You want to waste the time and I don't mind answering. I mean, I can't believe there any question on that. At a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also crediting what happened. It seems like a desecration. But
first to gather up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about plumbing, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of videos, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. Him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. I will get back to you on that. And the minutes missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons is every year, every night, they redo that video over like 1999, but every night the video is set, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video that well shown. And that's it.
country to take over the same. We're not, if you have a process, you will never lose. That's what. The dollar, is king. You can keep it that way. Not a salad. They come. They take price. I would take any of people want to. It's a more powerful way. It's benevolent. It's well bred. In every case, I'm doing again better than the rest of us over the years. I think we don't have a relationship, but everything they figure that far worse than I'm feeling. I'm feeling very good. I just feel tired. That's why when you get reading, you come up with a number for the vehicle, the prices are going up. So, when I got here, I feel like eight. Eight is like, I was in for about 4 days and they started steaming and we had eight. I didn't know about eight. So they went up about 5 times. You did a fantastic job. And we ended up short of the East here. They said, go out and buy plastic eggs. You can't even do it right. Well, we got 200,000 eggs for the White House. And we used to take that. And we have at the White House. And we had the price low. And now the price is lower than it was before. We did a good job with that. We did a good job with the work. The prices are down. A big part of it, we have a couple of places last week, we had $1.80. Inflation, 6 months, no inflation. We got heading into the report of July. Staying in their pot. Lower inflation. Lower inflation. Big defense. Every 50 cents is like a massive tax cut. We have great energy, low prices, everything else, and election, developers, intelligent answer to have it carry over, calculate, and the rest of that. went up, really low, and then he went back to the Trump policy. The problem was they didn't know how to do that, and he lost it, he lost that stuff, he lost his country, he out of control, and his energy prices were low, but it was also stupid spending. They spent money on, they used to use the drunk and sell it, but I won't leave it at that. I won't need to. They spent money at levels that nobody had ever seen. Trillions and trillions of dollars wasted on the union scam. Greatest scam in the history of our country. Other than maybe we've learned to recognize. The union scam was the single greatest scam in the history of our country. And in 2 years, we think that it's outward along because people finally getting it. We spent trillions of dollars on union scam doing nothing. Divided by some of those people with you tell me maybe the most important thing is that they're not, that he's the one that gets the financial. He's the one that has to get the permit to the plants and the factories and the permits that used to take 5 years. He's getting in record-setting time. AI, they're leading to China a lot with AI. And they know this. I'm allowing the plants to build their own electric buildings. I'm allowing them to become an electric utility. So they can produce their own electricity because we need double the electricity sector. Which is the biggest thing now. We need double the electricity that we have. It's on the board. We need even more than that. And they're building plants with their own electricity substations. They don't have to put the grid. And anything they build extra, they're putting into the grid. So they're supplying the grid with brand new electric sources. And you know, it's funny, when they came to see me, they never even asked for that. I told them about it. The reason they didn't, they thought that was an impossibility. You're not allowed to do that. There's massive investments that are being made in building electricity for their plants. And they're going to have, I think, there's a lot of electricity left over. And that electricity is going to be passed into the grid. And be like, no more, like, you look at California. We have blackouts and brownouts every week. They're totally out of control. They have a really incompetent government. Look, Chris, is he here? On where you want to speak to the subject?
Yeah, it's huge point in the one big beautiful bill. Leadership. The ending of the summer. People. Let's say it's our first guy. We got there to take flight. Then that most happens to go on the surface. Ending the same course. Subsidize something, you can at least lower the cost. But in this case, we were subsidizing something and paying for they did one big beautiful bill. There's two huge things. Ending spend. Wind, solar, and batteries combined 3% US. 3% for $1 trillion, another $500 billion coming. This is the kind of investment hurting our businesses, hurting our consumers, and one big beautiful bill also unshackled oil, gas, and coal design. Onshore and offshore. There's further now, things go as the way. Why is it business? Always looking at that case. Lower the bottom of their taking up there. The United States to help our allies abroad and reduce the power of our assets. Huge for the energy on all the rest of the things. We're studying correctly.
50 years old, well, in the world, I can run the company and build and sleep and windmill. Long, like 2 miles wide, and out of that, and it's a lot of plastic from China. We want to respond. China right now is building 58 we have 6 people on the boat. Successful guy. He went back to some of his confidence and he was like a long time and he was connected and he was doing that many of them are going to look like go to Palm Springs, California. Take a look at that pile of junk. You don't know what before you get there. You have to light your hundreds of windows and most of the turned off, they're rotted, they're rusted, 30 years old, 20 years old, and they have a very short life. This is a very short life, especially the ones that are in the nice salty Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, where the salt that gets on the west field and gets in there. Wind, it starts up like this, he says, wind, ugly machines, and the whole bank you can see. Some are a little taller, a little thinner, they all like different colors, they have different stock, they have different blades, they have different style. Look at getting very near the effectiveness now. Thank you. I've gotten front ring captain until the president. become a Palestinian, abandon the Jews. So I have to say, yeah, yeah, that's right. See that can ever see jump up about it. So they say, because it's a shivers. Yeah, first of all, that's right. Actually, so, that's a tough one to take. But his finger is limited because I hear AOC is going to be in, and she's no bother either down in the player. So that's the other question. Because we have to go to no problem. Go to the walk the function. So here's the deal. That's all.
Absolutely. Yes. And I texted, I believe, I talked to Secretary and Secretary Duffin. I reached out to you to let you know that you're on it.
I let her handle that one. Go ahead. Okay. I don't think only farmland, using only products that you have looked at.
Thank you so much for your work. Yes, this morning Secretary Hicks said, Secretary Noun, and Commissioner Bond is not. I just happen to have a form. They just came up, but all the but in time, I think that small first and taking consideration more than and political more than the next first. The second becomes what you are, and to know the other administration, you have 4 cabinet members after you review on the Tuesday morning as well. You see the week outside. We were coming down and talking about the great thing to talk. It's a total kind of protecting their bond, isn't just about talking about bond, we're talking about that. Relationship with last night. We talked about because we talked about my question. This morning we talked about protecting the farmers and farmers. How important it is never to disgrace the American West. Permanently, not weapons, work through the boost program. We are exposed to that. We have developing opportunities to the use of our farmers. Double down on those manufacturing through the process of using a food that it's an exciting time. That one we can that position my former college in Congress to get this done. It's an important time. I spent time on the ground in 7 states in 9 days prior to that resume pass. It's the most pro-healthy, the most gentle that people ever see really right now. Very powerful. Taken office in Congress, their increase in their bottom line about 8%. Not one company has said president is not doing a good job. These are talking about their feelings on the ground. The media has told a false story. What is happening on the ground is positive. Really, the Department of Labor coming behind all the secretaries and building more forces. Thank you for what everybody did this last week. The one who apprenticeship program.
We can history. You've never seen numbers like what we're going to see in the very near future. Many of them are building the plants, and some will be starting right now. It's a brand new administration. But and they really need to, except for two things. November 5th, the election, and the term. Frankly, it's the election more what people do. And really, if people something very soon on pharmaceutical, and people are about a meal. I don't allow Japanese people in the don't allow Japanese. So we're going to be announcing pharmaceutical gifts. And there's a couple of other things, big ones. We did seal it, at 50%. We did aluminum, 50%, lumber, just the amount. Those are cars. And now today we're doing copper. I believe the tariff on copper will make it 50. They're ready to questions. But he agreed with me. That's why he's out.
I'm just under for me. Nothing else we're going to tonight. Is that
Once we got to it, it's very unfair. I think what they've done to him is very unfair having to do this trial. One-time Prime Minister, unbelievable outcome. I think he would learn, but he's coming over later. We'll be talking about, I would say, almost exclusively Gaza. We're going to get that solved. Gaza is a tragedy. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. And he wants to get it solved, and I want to get it solved. And I think the other side wants to get it solved. Steve, can you talk on that? And we get four issues, and now we've got so we are hopeful that by the end of this week, we will have an agreement that will bring us into a 60-day ceasefire. 10 live hostages will be released. 9 deceased will be released. We're moving at the President's direction to all the hostage families to let them know. And we think that this will lead to a lasting peace in Gaza. Long-term hate. So hopefully with a real solution. The solution is going to be
Mary Moore. He's now saying he's going to free other political parties. Are you worried about this impact? Yeah.
I think it'll help us. Third parties will always be good for big, not Republican. Yeah. Look, we got hundreds of billions of dollars. Could have done it differently. I would have done it differently a little bit maybe, but it's something that we save a lot of money. You can always second guess. I guess some of the people in this room maybe would have done it slightly differently. Some would have done it exactly the way but it was thematic. It was important. And we found a lot of things like billions of dollars given to people for environmental protection where they had $100 in the account, like in Atlanta, Stacey. And then you had another one with 20 billion here, and 20 billion here, and 2 billion here, and 15 billion. And Lee, you might want to mention just a couple of those things. We're really that because of them.
The one big beautiful bill was filled with many big beautiful wins for the taxpayer. It delivered a sledgehammer billions of dollars. So it's a big deal for the American taxpayer. Sees money go through pass-throughs that are including self-healing and complex pictures. Recipients. They see reduced agency oversight. They want accountability with their tax dollars, and they got it. In the example of the Stacey Abrams NGO, they received $100 in 2023. They got $2 billion in 2024. They have complete training on visibility. They, out of nowhere, started paying CEO $800,000. 22 people make over $150,000. Out of nowhere, this is tax law. When you go through pastors, or other pastors, or other pastors, they lose oversight over it. And you see that it's going to former life officials, former officials, Democratic donors. And we're here saying we want to take money from a left-wing NGO and give it to a right-wing NGO. We want to give it back to the taxpayer. This is about us being good stewards of American tax dollars without any apology or regret. That's why President Trump was elected last November. There were a whole lot of people who maybe they hadn't voted Republican in a long time. Maybe they didn't even vote for President Trump the first time around in 2016, but they're regretting that vote. In 2016, they were making a right for. So the one big beautiful bill gave us billions of dollars more. We're seeing hundreds of thousands of dollars will get wasted per electric vehicle. As an example of this way I was going through it. They gave $50 million to a group called Climate Justice Alliance. They say that climate justice funds for a free Palestine. Biden gave $50 million to a group that says climate justice funds for a free Palestine. We say that you're using $100 in the name of remediating an environmental issue. Spend $1 on remediating an environmental issue. We say that we can protect the environment and grow people.
We want to help lower racial power in this country. Why is it that it took this long for this team to get assembled to be able to fix the mess that we inherited? Gosh, we love showing up though at our jobs. Every single day, first thing in the morning, because all day long we get things done for the American taxpayer. And Congress did it last week by passing one big beautiful bill to deliver this accountability and to cut off three-year scam. So maybe it's a bad day for Stacey Abrams. Maybe it's a bad day for all those well-connected Democrats getting paid off. But you know what? God bless America. Because at the end of the day, President Trump is here, J.D. Vance is here, and the greatest cabinet ever assembled to deliver that much needed and highly demanded accountability.
President, I move train.